Preparing live stream. And there we go. Gentlemen. Welcome to our first YouTube live session for 2020. I know it's week 3, but we just had to get that stuff out of the way, right? So you've got myself, you've got Nick or the Dizzle, you've got Eric, and you've got Sky. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get this thing going. So let's start off real quick, just to thank all our Patreons and people who've jumped in to help us out to launch this site. We've got a couple of key members who have really stepped up with us to help launch the site, so we'll appreciate them. But if you're interested in supporting us, we're looking at doing some exclusive content for Patreons. People have actually asked for the pod, an unedited version. If you listen to our pod, Joe usually keeps it tight. But we're looking at do that for people. So maybe we'll do it that way as well. Then we will have our the site itself at beyondthehorns.com. We've got our other normal stuff there. We've got the predictions, you got the write-ups, you got all the social stuff. We got the Morning Ram newsletter. Sign up for that. If you're interested in football, food, and fuckery, Joe is doing a great job keeping that thing up to date. And then all our normal social stuff. But outside of that, boys, 2-0 to start off the season. Something that we kind of hoped for, but we weren't sure. Going up with the Cowboys and the Eagles, we didn't know they were going to be a disaster to start the season. And the Bills, we looked at those first 3 games. If someone had told you 2-0, would you have believed it?
No.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty daunting to look at, right? The Cowboys, thought it would be like a Super Bowl favorite. And the Eagles have been historically good, but they're a train wreck right now. But so with the 2-0 start and look at that first 8 games, which is probably the meat of their schedule to get going. Did you guys reset your expectations for this team, or are they exactly what you thought they were going to be?
Two weeks into the season. Go ahead, Sky.
Oh, I was just saying that you always look at like the whole range of possibilities of the team, and if everything breaks your way in a season, you have one of those magic seasons, and if not, you know what I mean? And that's like most of the time. But it seems like so far everything's shaking in our direction as far as we're winning, as far as the injuries go.
Without a doubt, especially after this last
more favorable
weekend.
to us than our opponents so far, and that's as far as the line gelling, better than I would have hoped for. That's happened. The DBs are looking super. And Jared looks pretty comfortable in that system this year. So that's kind of like the best case scenario so far. So hopefully we can ride that wave,
Exactly. What do you think, Eric? Have your thoughts changed about what this season could be, or are they exactly where you thought they would be?
I wasn't sure what to expect, man. I mean, coming out of last year, there's a lot of change, and just kind of had to ride the wave. And 2-0, I mean, beat the Cowboys. That was a surprise. Always struggle against the Eagles, it seems like, with McVay. But, I mean, they played a hell of a game on Sunday. So, it seems like everything's looking up at this point. Feeling good.
Okay. And what do you think, Nick? Were you confident? Is this a Super Bowl team before the season for you, or are you just one of those guys that's like, what, I'm always expecting them to win, so yeah, I thought it would be 2-0.
No, I mean, going into the season, I think the past couple of years have reset expectations to head into week 1 with, hey, I hope we are going to field a competitive football team. I think that's what's been different than 2016 and predating that. But I think you have a lot of confidence in your coach. There was a lot of question marks with the roster, right? Like, we turned over an entire linebacking core. Corey leaving, I think, left a ton of question marks on that defense, but knowing that you could mask it, to see Micah step up last weekend, I think was a great surprise. And then the biggest thing is offensive line. That offense will only go as far as that offensive line goes. And if they stay healthy from what the trajectory they're on right now, they're going to be competitive. But we talk about this all the time between us. The NFL is a race against attrition. And this weekend couldn't have shown that even more. If you stay healthy, and especially in the COVID landscape, you're going to have a chance to compete. The West is stacked, though. But I think the Rams can compete with anybody in this league? Absolutely. They are one of the best teams in football right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we also saw, I think it was Cynthia Freeland had tweeted out today some stats about the possibility of the entire NFC West making the playoffs, because remember, we have an expanded playoff this year, so extra wildcard team. So in theory, you could have a division winner and 3 wildcards all from the same division. And it was something like 3.1% or something. And apparently that's a really high percentage for this scenario to happen, because the normal stats would have it something like a 0.002%, whatever. So, will that happen? Probably not. But it also goes out there and talks about, the strength of this division. It's clearly the best in football right now. It's 7-1, with the one loss being an interdivisional game when the Cards beat the 49ers. So talking about that, and talking about that hot start we talked about, at the end of last year, if you remember, we had a ton of injuries, but that's never the story. It's always wins and losses. And the thought is, there was a lot of chatter at the end of the year. Has the league caught up to Sean McVay? Has everyone figured out his 11 personnel thing? And has the league caught up to the Rams? And what's going to happen this year heading in? 2 weeks in, it doesn't seem like anybody's caught up to anybody yet. What seemed like, you mentioned Nick, and we had talked about injuries. Injuries caught up with this team last year, not really the league. If you look at right now, the Rams are rolling. I think they're right now tied for 4th in total offense. They're second in running and rushing attack. I mean, they're balanced. They're looking good. So what do you think, Sky? Has the whole narrative of the league is caught up to the Rams and Sean McVay coming out? What's your first impression on Sean McVay answering his doubters, his first actual doubters early in the season?
It's been really promising, to be honest. Like I had to wonder the same stuff myself. I tend to think that he had adjustments up his sleeve, but you gotta see him well, which was kind of reassuring. But it seems like he's back way ahead of the pack again, and it makes you wonder. Like, there will probably be some adjustments further down the road, like in 2018 with the Bears and the Lions and all that little stretch right there, right? So it's gonna probably, the game of chess will continue, I feel like. But for now, it seems like if we can get a nice fat start here, and then just continue to tinker with things, and he's got the running game going. So once you give McVay a running game, it's pretty much on. I think, like, it's really hard to handle the McVay offense once the running backs are good, and all those 3 guys are doing a great job behind that line. So makes everything else so much easier, it seams like.
Yeah, it's funny what
How you
happens
guys
when you
feel
have good
about it?
offensive line. It's funny what happens when you have good offensive line play, some continuity there, and then you can run the football, right? What do you think, Eric? Is there any thoughts on the Sean McVay offense and what they're doing in 2019 or 2020 compared to what they did last year, and some of the the changes that they've got going?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like last year, they were kind of in the 2018 hangover where they just wanted to play the same game and it just wasn't quite working for them. I mean, I feel like McVay's still a little conservative in the passing game, but he feels a little more committed to the run than he has in the last few years. A little less eager to lean on Jared, but I mean, it's been working. I mean, the offensive line has been blocking great. Cam Akers, before he got hurt against Philly, was doing a great job. And when you can run the ball that well, everything will just kind of work itself out.
Nick, speak to me about the running backs and the offensive line play you saw there. Joseph Nopum is on IR right now with the calf issue. He's out for a couple of weeks, but I'm going to take a guess here. I think you think that's a blessing for this team.
I do. I mean, honestly, watching the back half of last year when David Edwards came in, he looked like he belonged. To be honest with you, I don't know why they put Boom in at left guard. I don't know if that's draft equity speaking, that saying, hey, that we need to run him there. But to me, I think David Edwards he's more compact. He can handle the position a little bit better. To be honest with you, I don't think we'll see a drop off at all. And from a running back standpoint, I think we have 3 very, very unique running backs, but all 3 of them have shown that we're going to see something a little bit different than what we saw, last year and then the back half of 2018. All of them create extra yards. And not to knock Todd, because I love him and I think he's a very, very good running back. But Todd went down on first contact a lot, especially on really broken plays. If you see Mout get hit at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, he squeaks a little bit out. He's kind of that hammer with inside of the offense. Cam is probably the slipperiest of the three. At least watching everything that I watched at FSU last year, that guy's hard to bring down. He doesn't go down on first contact. And Hendo, he's the home run hitter. I'm actually really shocked that he got sawed down on the 40-yarder. I think if he wouldn't have looked over his right shoulder and went off the hash, he could have housed that thing. But in regards to that offense, Sean, is anyone shocked that Sean can adjust? Like, no, the guy's smarter than hell. I think what is going to be lethal is that they're now multiple. Like,
right,
we don't have to throw to wide receivers anymore, and we can go hang 40 on people. That's encouraging.
It's kind of surprising me with the Sean offense. I shouldn't say surprising, because nothing surprised me with him. He's a scheming master. The guy knows how to scheme guys open. He knows how to scheme Goff into comfortable positions. He hasn't been forced to do anything that he's not comfortable doing yet. And the system quarterback is running the system perfectly right now, and it's all because of the mastermind who's actually scheming things open. You're looking, Goff isn't holding the ball. He's not having to hold the ball. Their quick game is decimating people right now. There are just no answers for it. And if you look, we used to have first we had Sammy Watkins, right? They went and got themselves a home run hitter to stretch the field. And then he moved on and they went and traded for Brendan Cooks. And, he's a stretch the field guy. Right now, they don't really utilize a stretch the field guy. Everyone's out there playing. You've got Higgs deep. You've seen Van Jefferson kind of do some of those things. You've seen Robert Woods over the middle. You got to have a big game. And then Josh Reynolds, you would think might be that next guy, but he's had one catch, I think, in each last couple of weeks. Two, the biggest one I think was that Cowboys game when he snatched that thing on the sideline, just flashing hands. That was a bit of a surprise. But they're getting it done with short, controlled passing. Everything, when you watch them, and they just keep hammering us when you're watching games, everything looks the same. The same motion. Everything is built off that same look. So you can't diagnose what's happening. So yeah, the Sean McVay doubters are eating crow right now. So how about thoughts on Goff? Anybody want to take that one? Jared Goff, how he looks in 2020? Does he look more comfortable? He had 3 touchdowns last week, all the Higbee. Any thoughts on Goff and what we're seeing out of the 2020 version of Jared Goff compared to what we saw last year or maybe even 2018? Again, I will go back to pressure in his face. He's comfortable right now. Nobody's hitting him, so he's not having to, make bonehead plays or force or do things he's not comfortable with. The draft is running the show. Anyone want to take some thoughts on Goff?
One thing I've noticed that seems kind of like it's gone back to 2018, 2017 style is that he's really willing to just notice a dead play and toss that ball away. I felt like last year he got a little bit away from that at times. And it really hurt us at times. I felt like the Cincinnati game kind of comes to mind in London last year with that. But I feel like he's kind of gotten back to that, and he does look super comfortable. But again, it's that running game is going, and Goff's going to be great with the running game for sure. Like he's handling it. Yeah.
Eric or Nick, any thoughts on Goff?
I mean, I would agree. Like he seems to be a lot more confident in what they're trying to run. He's protecting the ball more. He's not getting as much pressure, so he's not being forced to make decisions that he might not be able to make. That, like you said, the system is working for the system QB.
Yeah.
And that speaks to continuity, right? Like year 4 into a system, there's a level of mastery that comes with that. And just a relationship between him and Sean. The running joke is that Sean's in his ear all the time, and right. he's steering everything with inside of the offense. Jared is just the arm that gets it done. I think you can tell that Jared is starting to make some of those decisions, and some of them are smart. Like you take the Dallas game where he had Cooper on the big crosser to ice the game. Like what Jared did was not dumb. What Jared could have done could have put a nail in the coffin, but I think that there's a level of maturity with inside of the offense that we just haven't seen with him, and it's probably expected.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's a fourth year in the system. The big change last year was when they had to deal with injuries and they had to protect him. They went to more 12 personnel. Johnny Munt got a lot of run. The question was, would they go back to 11 or stay with 12? What kind of work for them towards the second half? I think we've answered that question. Until there's something going to come up, like the Lions game from 2018, and show that we can start stopping this thing. He's going to keep doing it, and he'll probably keep doing it anyways. I mean, that's just what he does, right? He's going to run his system. He's going to do it, and that's just where we're at. How about the other side of the ball? They made some moves in the offseason with their coaching staff, replacing all three coordinators. The one is an extension of McVay, so I'm not too concerned about what we're doing offensively there because everything's flowing through McVay. But the defensive side, they replaced the legend and Wade Phillips. Everyone loved Papa Wade. He's a proven winner. He's probably a surefire Hall of Famer. However, the thought was, oh, here we go. We're getting rid of Wade. It's now this is really Sean McVay's team. He's the guy. They went and got himself Brennan Staley, a Vic Fangio clone, and his defense is playing their asses off. And especially what I've been most impressed with him is the second half of these games. 2 field goals over 2 games. They're getting it done. Thoughts on what you're seeing with the Rams defense 2 weeks in, playing explosive Cowboys offense as we saw last week, and then the Eagles. Any thoughts on Staley and the defense?
I'll start. Quarters. I don't know if from a defensive scheme standpoint, quarters is my favorite defense, especially in today's NFL. If you look early in both games, like where we get beat at is where quarters is weak at. It's in the flats, and it puts a lot of pressure on Micah. When that defense can really excel is when you have a middle linebacker that can play sideline to sideline and take that away, which Micah started to do. You could see him start to get really comfortable with inside of that front, like right after the first quarter of the Eagles game. The biggest thing that to me is everyone sitting here saying that we don't have a pass rush. I don't know if anybody's watched this, but no one's taken a shot down the field. Like we went into the Cowboys game and it was Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. How many deep balls were thrown at him? One, and there was a PI called. No one's taking deep shots. So just like we're keeping Jared clean, getting the ball out of his hand quick, everyone's doing the same thing. Because why? If you don't, 99 is going to end your life. I'm not worried about the pass rush. I'll be worried about the pass rush when we are in a shootout game and someone's going over the top on us and we can't get home. Right now, I'm cool with it. Okay.
What do you think, Sky?
Yeah, well, like you said, I was going to echo the second half thing, man. When you got a defense that makes adjustments like that, it's such a good sign. Knowing things are probably getting better and solved throughout a game instead of the opposite, and it's kind of Staley. He really reminded me of McVay when I would listen to him talk in the offseason. I didn't know much about the guy, but just listening to that energy, it reminded me of like when we got McVay. And I remember I got to attend a practice and McVay comes up to us and goes, "We haven't been converting in the red zone and we got to, and then I think we'll win like 10 games." And like he just had this little vision that he was really clear and direct about. And it's like Staley speaks the exact same language, it seems like. And so it kind of, I was really hopeful that it would work out with him. And it seems like it has so far. And he also seems to have a real good grasp of like what personnel is going to fit his scheme. We see Williams in there just balling out. It's great. Hill over in the slot now. Micah seems to be coming around, and Floyd has looked like a really nice fit that we weren't so hot on that acquisition, but he looks like he's been doing a wonderful job. Makes you wish we had Ashawn too, in the repertoire.
Yeah.
He's coming back.
Happen at some point.
Couple weeks out. Hopefully a couple weeks out.
Yeah.
Like week 6.
When's he scheduled to be back?
He was working on the sidelines today.
Yeah, he's working. He's not eligible to come back for. I think it's till week 6. But he's been working on the side, trying to get him. Jordan had mentioned that on his coverage today for the Athletic that he wanted to make sure he was in shape so that when he's able to come off, he's ready to roll. So he's actually working on the side, doing some of his conditioning and trying to get going. So yeah, you put that house in the middle, and it really makes a difference. Eric, thoughts on the defense? Anything that really stood out to you?
I mean, I think going back to before the season started, like everyone was talking about cap space and, getting Jalen signed, having your monster contract with Donald. And there was a lot of guys that didn't have a lot of play time. They replaced some guys with rookies, and they've really come around. They've really, they've been playing well with what they've got, and having Micah Kaiser and Jordan Fuller and some of those younger guys step in, um, and make almost an immediate impact. Kaiser more so in the second week, but that's been huge for the team, and I mean the results have kind of spoken for themselves.
Right. I mentioned this in the pod a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was last week. It's the middle of their defense. Kaiser and Jordan Fuller going into the season had zero professional snaps. So there was a huge question mark there. And the Jordan Fuller side, before we found out that he was tabbed to starter, we were still kind of wondering, all right, is Taylor Rapp hurt? Is he still nursing that injury he had in training camp? No, he just got outplayed in camp. And what I really like, what they're doing as far as this team in general is, for the most part, they're not concerned about your draft status. If you can come in and you can play, you're going to play, and the draft status just got you to the team. But you have to actually play and earn it weekly. And Jordan Fuller did that. So hats off to those guys. As you mentioned, Kaiser's 16 tackles this week, both of them into NFC Player of the Week. You earned that nod today, and he's one of the leading tacklers in NFC. But right behind him is Jordan Fuller, rookie safety, is at 17 tackles. I think Kaiser's at 23 for the year. So both guys are playing out of their mind right now. Really, really solid. The secondary, I think, is locking guys down. Nick, you mentioned that they're not holding the ball and taking shots because they got a scheme for 99. The Cowboys didn't account for him. They thought their all-pro offensive lineman could handle it, and he took on all comers. Smith, Martin, it didn't matter. He was destroying everyone. Week 2, the Eagles said, no, we're not going to let 80 wreck our game. We're just going to put 2 and 3 on him and kind of neutralized him a bit. But then you have to have those other guys who are singled up. They need to win, and they did when they had to. They didn't get him on the ground, but they weren't holding the ball. They weren't taking their deep shots. Everything was short. You had Sanders coming in the backfield. You had the tight ends a little bit active. Crossing routes. They really weren't taking their shots. And the one they did, Darius Williams picked them off, right? And so on a poor throw, Wentz was behind and late. And if you do that, you're going to lose in this league. So hats off to those guys. The pass rush, I think you mentioned it. Leonard Floyd, he's got one of the year. He's the Dante Fowler guy right now. Fowler was a bust when he came to the Rams. He had done nothing with the Jags. Good things happen when you play with an all-world player. You get one-on-ones, athleticism. Floyd's going to see some of that. And Floyd is a far better run defender than Dante Fowler ever was. The man sets the edge and forces everything back inside, which is, playing to Kaiser's strength. You got Ashawn in there keeping those linebackers clean. Kenny Young is flying. I'm really impressed with his speed on the outside, his closing speed. You get Ashawn in the middle in a couple of weeks, and you keep those linebackers clean. It's going to be a long day for opponents. It can be a long day. So moving on to the next unit, where we have a new coordinator, John Bamego is taking over for our friend Jones, Mr. Fossil, who's now at Dallas. We have two topics on special teams, and I don't think we'll talk a lot of special teams here. Boys, I want your thoughts on Sloman. They pointed it on the Sunday Night Football game. He's got a low trajectory. He missed his first kick. He's come back and hit the next 2, and then he had a blocked extra point. Again, is the ball coming out low? How are you guys feeling on Sammy? Are you cool, Sam? It's too early for Sam, or I'm panicked on Sam? Where are you guys at with Sam Sloman?
I think for the sake of all of our sanity, we should talk glowingly about that kid, because if there's one position that you're on an island on in the NFL, it's that one. So we all need to be saying, hey, it's okay. He's going to start hitting it well. The golfer in me says that he is not hitting it flush, and it scares the shit out of me. But I don't know. He's young. Like the stage is different. Like there's nobody in the stands. Like it's such a unique scenario. Like I'm gonna give the first hit that kid has as a pass. He tugged it. Like it happens. But I don't know. It's early. Let's see what he does when there's a kick that matters. Does he have the stones to bury one?
Okay. Boys, what do you think? Eric or Sky?
Yeah, I mean, so far it really hasn't mattered, has it? I mean, he missed that extra point. He missed his first kick. but here we are 2-0. So, want to hopefully they can continue that and give him some more time to get more comfortable, but definitely be something that you hope they can work with him on it.
What do the Melonheads have to say about Mr. Sloman's guy?
I think Sloman is.
What would the SoFi what would the SoFi guys down in the end zone be saying about Sammy right now? What would the chatter be in that little group? Like, oh Jesus, give me another beer here. He's coming out to take this kick, or
They'd be busting a bunch of jokes every time he came out of the tunnel. You know what I mean? But it's all love. I think with Sloman is I agree with Nick. Like, we got to kind of ride out the process of him getting used to being an NFL kicker. Oh, am I freezing?
Okay. Yep.
No, okay.
Not you're good.
But I gotta admit, I do feel a little nervous when I see him come out there right now. Like, I don't have that thing where, like, we're kicking a field goal, I'm gonna kick back and get a snack real quick because I know it's money. I don't have that feeling at all yet. But he's a new kicker, so it is what it is. I don't want to get to the Chargers, though. You know what I mean? Like, going through that whole thing.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like the guy was drafted, right? So he must be pretty good. But it's that trajectory looks really low. Yeah. Kickoffs, I think he's been all right?
He's been solid on kickoffs. He's been booming them. I mean, I feel bad for him in respect that if there's a legendary kicker anywhere, Jeezy's had some big kicks for this team. Yeah, he's missed a couple, but he's had some big knocks for this team. For years, he was the offense. You get your midfield, he's going to be booting 60-yarders. Fisher would just roll him out there with unrealistic expectations, and then people had kind of built that up. And so he got hurt. He struggled one year, 2015, I believe. 2018, the man sent us to the Super Bowl in the loudest stadium in the league, pressure packed, drill. There wasn't a chip shot, so he had to come and replace a guy like Jeezy. A lot of fans were, so we saw a lot of chatter about, all right, I'm ready to move on from him because he missed a kick, which might not have been a miss in Seattle, and so people were down on him. If they get that, they go to the playoffs, and nobody hates on Jeezy. If you look at it, I mean, it was over the upright, but they called it out, whatever. So yeah, you got to feel for the guy because he's replacing one of the better kickers in the NFL. And
do you guys recall what Dallas ended up paying Jeezy?
Oh, I don't recall what his salary was. Do you guys know what it was off the top of your head?
Because I know we can't be paying a kicker right now. That's the thing.
I want to say it was 6. It was
3.
Did you get a Bones discount because Bones went first and then they brought him?
Oh yeah.
So
3 at 7.5. It's actually
7.5.
Yeah, that's cheap. I think, but that was late though, right? Like, I think that was probably. I thought that he would probably go out and get. I don't even know who the highest paid kicker is in the league anymore, but I think that was one where it's like we need to cut dollars, and if there was a place to do it, it was there. Like, Greg hadn't been healthy. Greg hadn't been healthy for 3 years. Like, it was something.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, you have to start with the contracts they're paying these guys, especially the new contracts they've got now. You're gonna look for more of that. They let Corey walk. They plug it with Kaiser. So as long as you trust their process, we're gonna be looking at even more of that down the road. The next one is tough for me. It's tough for me to even go here with this one, but it's been bugging me since I saw it in week 1. It bugged me last week when he fumbled. My son back there fielding punts. How are we feeling about Cooper Kupp punt returner? I'm going to give you my 2 cents because Cooper Kupp is a great possession receiver. He's money over the middle. He's savvy. He's a great route runner. He's a willing blocker. I mean, you love his heart. You love everything. Cooper Kupp is not the specimen of athleticism that you kind of look at as like a Tavon Austin mold, who can make guys miss, and his speed's going to beat you to the corner, and he's going to juke you here or there. That's not Cooper Kupp. And the fact that you are putting him back there as unathletic as he is, risking him to shots if he's doing anything other than taking a fair catch, he's taking undue shots. Do you need to put him out there? Is the risk worth the reward? If he was like Tavon or something, one of the better punt returners, if he was electric, if he's Devin Hester, yeah, put him out there and let's risk it. What's the best you're going to get out of Cooper Kupp punt return? Not a 10-yard return and no fumble? I mean, I don't see the risk worth the reward. And so I'm out on him. I was hoping after week 1 he would just do nothing but fair catch. And number 2, you got to have better situational awareness. Should you be fielding the punt inside your 5? I'm going to say you should let that one go to the end zone. McVay sounds like he's going to keep rolling him back out there. So you guys know he's my boy. I worry about my son getting injured. I want him off the punt team. Where do you guys follow Cooper Kupp, punt returner?
I
Who wants it?
agree with you 100% on that one, Rob. You know, it reminds me of growing up. You know, I think the Rams tried to trot Henry Ellard out as a punt returner for a while, but Ron Brown was really the guy who should have been returning punts, right? Like, you just why bother? Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that.
Nasimba Webster's on
Real
this roster
upside
for a
to it.
reason. Yeah. Anyone else,
Yeah.
Nick? You want chipping on Cooper Kupp or Nags? Are we good with Cooper Kupp never returning another punt?
It's
With you,
week
man.
8 and he's still doing it. Like I would argue a little bit that in athleticism, like I think that everyone like defaults that like you need to be Dante Hall or Tavon Austin to return punts. Like how long do we see Julian Edelman return punts for New England? Like there's a part of it that is he has a high football IQ.
He
That's
does.
higher than most, to be honest with you. I think he's proven to make really good decisions, which those are things that are value add to that position. I do think it's hard to justify when you're paying a wide receiver $15 million a year to go stick him back there and get wrecked. But I do think that today's NFL, like they're pretty protected back there. Like if he gets popped, it's on him.
Where does fielding a punt inside your 5 fall on the football IQ scale?
I think that's the learning curve. I don't know if any of you guys listen to the coach's show this week, but I mean, JB obviously had to ask it, and it's valid. I'll be surprised if he's still doing it, and maybe something's wrong with Simba. Like that's the whole thing with this team, right? Like they're the secrecy 2.0 that comes out of New England. Like we don't know shit about this organization when it comes to health. And if they're telling us anything, like it could just be that Simba's banged up and they need Cooper to go in there and fair catch balls for the first 3 or 4 weeks. Like, because you're right. Simba's on this roster for one reason. He isn't going out there to play wide receiver.
No. He's Mike Thomas. Okay. We have a 2-0 Bills team this week with a really hot offense. Josh Allen's number 1 in the league, 6 TDs, 0 interceptions. Stephon Diggs, they traded for in the offseason, brought him over from the Vikings, and he's leading the league in 280-something yards a game for over 2 games. They're only 22nd rushing. That's because they're airing it the hell out. And their defense is 13th, allowing 22 points a game. Again, they played the Jets and they played the Dolphins. So let's temper that. It's going to be a test for the Rams defense this week, but again, they're going to bring something that the Jets and Dolphins did not bring. Aaron Donald, number 1, number 2, an offense that could match them point for point. So, Eric, I'm going to start with you first. Thoughts on the Jets Dolphins trio and the AFC East, all over with the Bills in that mix? Where are we with the Buffalo Bills? Is it fool's gold or are they the real deal?
I mean, you know, they're on the up and up. They went to the playoffs last year. I don't know if the Jets and the Dolphins are exactly, you know, in the same caliber as saying you're 2-0 against the Cowboys and the Eagles. Not that the Eagles are that great through these first 2 weeks, but you know, I'm a little nervous about Josh Allen. He's been playing amazing. He can run, he can throw. They've got some playmakers on offense. I think, you know, this is going to be the true test. If we can win this and play the same way we've been playing the last 2 weeks, you know, that's when you can really start to feel comfortable moving forward when we get into those division games.
Sky, thoughts on the Bills coming in this week with 2-0 teams? Who's leaving? Two men enter, 1 man leaves. What we got? How we feeling about the Bills?
I actually have a really nice feeling about this week's, more so than I did about the first 2 games. Maybe because the Bills are dinged up. Maybe it's because of their opponents. But you look at it. I know Josh Allen really has the Bills fans real hyped right now. They think he's arrived, and maybe he has. I always enjoy watching him play because it's either some great play or a complete S show. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I always enjoyed watching him play, actually. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. The fact that the Dolphins were able to move the ball so well on that defense with underneath routes and use tight end was it's a really good sign for the Rams, because that's really what we do. You know, we're kind of the best at that. So the Bills are going to make some adjustments, and they might be getting Edmonds back possibly, but I think they're kind of vulnerable to what the Rams do well. And Goff's going to be getting the ball out of there really quick. The Bills will probably take some shots downfield, so that'll be interesting because we haven't encountered too much of that. Probably Brown try and stretch him out a little bit. So we'll see how we respond to that. But I kind of feel like the Rams might get this one if they can, keep doing what they're doing. I think they have a real shot this week.
All right, Dizzle, what do we got? Bills this week, Josh Allen show, Stephon Diggs. Is Jalen going to match up with them, or are we just going to stick to Jalen on his side and just let it go?
I hope so. I hope that they go into this game and say, Josh Allen, go ahead and beat us with your arm. That is my hope to see this weekend. If I look at the Jets game, Jets are the worst team in football, and it isn't even close. I don't know if you guys saw their TV ratings last week. The regular season Yankee game this year against the Reds outdrew the Jets. That's how bad they are, that the biggest TV market in the U.S. didn't even want to watch that shitty team. But the Jets outscored them 14-6 in the second half. Darnold was running for his life, but he's still throwing the ball on him. To be honest with you, I'm not concerned at all with this game, and that's weird to say because I'm usually not super confident going into games. But you take away 2 bombs from that game, and it's actually a really competitive game. With all of that said, I think the Bills are one of the best coach teams in the league, and I think that their biggest handicap right now is still their quarterback. Josh is young. He's got a lot of cam into him where he likes to throw it, and he likes to throw it 1,000,000 miles an hour, and that's it. Until he gets some touch to his game, he is that.
So you're saying he's not stepping into his throws and he's shouldering them high? Because that's
No,
Cam loves to just use the all arm and never step into a throw.
Which is
so. Are we feeling? Are we having consensus here? The Rams are 3-0 after this week. Are we feeling a shootout? Are we feeling?
I'd lean that way. I don't like to say that out loud, but I would lean that way. Yeah.
Would you lean that way? We'll save it for the prediction piece for Bate because he's gonna have something to write about. But I think we're all feeling fairly comfortable about this game. I think Josh Allen is an exciting young player. I was all on board with him watching him play in the playoffs. I thought he was pretty exciting. But he does, as Nick mentioned, he's a young guy, and young guys tend to make mistakes. Speaking of that, young guys making mistakes. We have a question coming in from our YouTube audience. It was right off the bat, and the thought was, how are the Rams going to game plan to contain his legs? They did a good job with Dak keeping him in the pocket. What do we think they're going to do? Because he's pretty athletic and he can get out and run. I think he scored a rushing touchdown this year as well, if I remember correctly. But how we feeling about containing Josh's legs as well as his arm? Anyone have a thought on what they'll do to attack that?
They're athletic on the edge. In normal game plans, when you have a guy who's going to sit in the pocket and beat with his arm, you cut the edges loose. What you do is you take Leonard, you stick him on one end, and you take Samson, and you guys say, hey, you guys rush two yards upfield, and that's it. You guys don't go any deeper. Don't give him lanes. I think the biggest thing is, can Aaron play disciplined? The reasons why Aaron is great is also the reasons why the Rams actually get gashed sometimes. He likes to freelance, and I think Aaron's going to need to play a little bit in control and just go one lane and let Micah clean it up on the backside. But I think you just play sound, responsible football against this team and go make this kid complete 40 passes against you. That's the only way they're beating them.
Do we even think about a spy with some of that, or just?
I will say our edges seem like I really thought the tackling has been pretty this year. Ebukam looks like he's a lot stronger, and Boyd obviously is too. To where hopefully we're getting bowled over by Josh Allen. It's like we saw in Miami there. Like
he's big. He's going to get his right.
We'll have a few highlights.
I think hopefully the Rams can rally to the football. That's the biggest thing, right? Like we saw the Zeke touchdown, and it was like the shittiest angles you've ever seen in your entire life.
Four bad.
Oh God, I would have hated to be in the film room that Monday. It had to be
four bad angles and the sideline to work with, and he scores. He scores on that play.
But he's Zeke. He's a good football player.
True.
Right. He's a stud. Eric, any thoughts?
I'm with Nick. Make Allen beat you with his arm.
No question. The gradients cut this week.
We just had the one, and so far nothing else has come in. So we'll keep promoting it. We'll get people on to asking more questions. But we had an early question, which was about how we're going to get a game plan around them. Other than that, we just had people talking in chat, and no questions. So I'm not gonna sweat it. We'll keep it short this week, but I'd like to keep them going. Final thoughts before we wrap it up. Anyone?
Shout out to Micah. You know, he got ribbed a little bit on social media, and I don't even think it was getting ribbed, but you know, Cam does a really good job. I think he was highlighting some of the stuff that PFF had you know, called him out for, and was giving fans just a visual to see what you know they saw from a grade perspective. I'm super excited for this kid. That kid has an athletic profile that is actually better than Corey Littleton's. He's a really smart kid. And Joe Barry, shout out to that dude, because that guy is going to make a lot of dudes rich in this league. Go Micah.
Yeah, Rams linebacker coach Joe Barry. He got someone paid for the Raiders this year, and this past offseason. He's going to get another one paid, hopefully, on this team. He reminds me, I hate saying it, but it's a number and his stature. He has a little bit of, London Fletcher in him, right? He's got a thick, squatty, tree trunk kind of legs, form tackles. He's not flashy. He just plays sound, fundamental football. Had a little London in his game. I mean, that's lofty praise for a guy who's probably gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But just 2 weeks in, I watched that number. I like seeing a 59 playing middle for the Rams. It's a good feeling for me. Anybody else who got something good?
Seems like a linebacker's linebacker, you know, type of guy
Right.
that kind of can stamp his personality on a defense, you know.
Yep.
Kind of like when you watch the Steelers team, I feel like it comes from the linebacker. It's like, you know, it's kind of
I just hear that music when I watch
tack
him play,
guy,
right? It's a cold SoCal morning.
as far as this week, I just think it's a big, when you chunk a season into stretches, you look at this season, we start out tough, man. These 3 games are going to set the tone, and it's exciting if they could get through it 3-0. That would be a really super sign. And I think they do that, we can consider them the real deal this year. We can consider the game against the Seahawks to be a huge deal. Like, you know, it should be, we can start talking like that, I think, if they start out, you know. So it's just exciting to see if Isring stick, to see if we can just be that consistent team. You know, in a league where there's a lot of parity.
Start stacking those W's. You got the Giants next week after that. You got the Washington football team after that. Winnable games. You start stacking them. You got a San Francisco team on the horizon who's decimated with injuries right now. So you just start piling on. And we'll see where we're at the end of the year. Final thought, Eric?
Man, I'm with Sky. This is a statement game. You know, no one bought into the team 2 weeks ago. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Eagles. You know, everyone's kind of riding high with the Bills. Josh Allen, and you know, this is a big chance for the Rams to come out and, you know, put together three wins and have a schedule that's wide open for them.
Absolutely. Nick, you good to go? Go Rams. All right, thanks for jumping on, everybody. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. The one question we got, maybe we'll get some more down the road as we start doing this and get some of the other guys in. We start making this a little bit more of a thing. We'll kind of keep them short, under an hour, which I'm trying to do right now. So hit us up on social, follow us on the site, subscribe to The Morning Ram, Football, Food, and Fuckery. Joe loves that stuff. He plans for it. He loves it. He cultivates it. We got more things happening for you. We're trying to get some more Patreon things going. So check us out there if you're interested in doing that and supporting us and keeping this thing going. You know, we appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for tuning in, boys. Let's get this W, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Robbo.
Later.
Take it easy, man.
Take care now.